Hello, everyone. If you are struggling with your energy, if you're feeling exhausted, maybe you've had some energy, but you just can't conserve it, then you're in absolutely the right place because today I'm joined by the lovely Lesley Waldron, and she's going to give you some simple habits so that you can conserve, I can't even speak, conserve and restore your energy, no matter what season it is. So over to you, Lesley.
Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for inviting me to be here. It's really nice. I so when I think about energy, I think about what's depleted us and what's restoring us. And I think often a really good place to start with is what's depleting us. So if we are finding that we are really running out of energy at the end of the week or during the day, is actually do we have enough space and boundaries in our life? Are we hitting overwhelm and then just pushing on through? So often I work with women in midlife who are kind of slightly overwhelmed by life. And often we start with those boundaries and space. Now, we might think that energy comes from what we eat and how we sleep and all of those things. But I find if we've got too much going on in our heads and in our lives, then we're running out of energy much more quickly. So I suggest a little habit that we can do when we notice that feeling of overwhelm, when we notice that feeling of running on empty, when you're kind of midway through the afternoon and you're facing a massive slump, or you hit Saturday morning and you haven't got that, you're really looking forward to an enjoyable weekend and you've just run out of steam. That lovely Saturday morning or Sunday evening activity can be simply to write a list of everything. So, a list of everything that's in your head, of everything that's going on. It's not a to-do list. It's all of the thoughts that are going around in your head before you go to bed at night, or when you wake up at 3 in the morning, or when you're sitting there desperate to get on with things. Everything that is in your head about the things that you need to do, want to do, feel like you should be doing. And you just scribble it all out. No one's ever going to read it and you can burn it afterwards. But once you've written it down, your brain has started to process all of those things. When they're going round in like their own little individual whirlwinds in your mind, it's really hard to actually pin them down when you write and actually take any action or just throw them away. So I often say you write the whole list down and you don't even necessarily read it back. You put it to one side and then you create a new list. And this is a list of everything that's currently on your plate. So it could be the tasks and the chores and the emotional space holding, because often we are doing that, whether it's for kids, our colleagues, whether it's for elderly parents, whether it's for friends going through crisis. And this time, the things that really feel important, that's what you're putting on this list, necessary. This time you read it back. And then you ask yourself, is there anything I don't really need to be there? Is there anything that I don't really want to be there? Is there anything that's been there so long that it needs to go? So it's a really simple, regular practice. And it's a habit that by doing this, by just kind of using it can take, the first time takes a while. The second time can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And it helps you to stay on track with your energy because you've worked out what's really important. So it's a really simple thing, cup of tea, and it brings you back some headspace. And once you've got a little bit of space in your head, it's a really simple way of finding a little bit more energy and not getting depleted. So that's one little tip.
Can
What
I
do you
ask
reckon,
you one
Julie?
question about that?
Yeah.
Is it a regular daily habit? This is writing down that stream of consciousness, or is this a week thing? What would you recommend?
I would do it once a week. So, like, rather than like anything that we have to do every day starts to feel like a chore. So, if it's another thing, it feels like another thing you've got to read on your right on your to-do list. But I found in my work with clients that the first time they do it is actually the most useful, important. And then after that, they don't actually need to do it more than once a month or anything like that. But it can be that if you find that you keep coming back to overwhelm, we do the brain dump list and throw it away, and then the actually what's important list and work out what's a real priority, what can be delegated and what can just be thrown in the bin because it's got a big should next to it that's weighing down your shoulders, but you don't actually really need to do it. So
Absolutely. Well, I think throwing out the shoulds is such a good idea and replacing it
mm,
possibly with a could. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And going, yeah. And then and actually you can decide, do I want to do it? Do I need to do it? There's a different energy to those. Do I want to do it or do I need to do it? And then that need is there a should behind that need? Or is there actually, this will really help me behind that need?
Very
So,
different.
very different. Yeah. So can I move? I've got another idea that I'd love you to play with. And this is about how we're nourishing ourselves. So not just by making sure that we're having a healthy breakfast and drinking enough water and getting enough sleep, but like, how are we really nourishing ourselves well, particularly if we're in this kind of middle of life whirlwind where I've got teenagers and I care for my mum who's got Alzheimer's. I run my own business and I'm very involved in various community activities as well. It can be a whirlwind. Um, and it can be really easy to kind of get sidetracked by nourishing ourselves coming down to what I should, it says I should again, and shouldn't be eating, rather than being able to listen in. I think that when we nourish ourselves, we think about nourishing ourselves with good flavor. And often, kind of, some of the foods that we might consider unhealthy, and I think healthy and unhealthy are difficult labels anyway. When you actually slow down and eat them, you realize they haven't got much flavor. They're not giving us much feedback. But if we're wanting to nourish ourselves slightly better, we can start with one small thing, and then and sometimes that's as simple as going, my one small thing is to eat more slowly. When I eat more slowly, I notice the flavor and texture of what I'm cooking, what I'm eating. I might enjoy it more. I will definitely digest it better and therefore access the nutrients better from that food. And I might end up eating slightly less because I've slowed down and I've got that, my brain gets the signal that actually I've had enough now. But it could also, that one small thing could be that you start with a meal or an opportunity for nourishment during the day where you feel like you're always shortchanging yourself. So it could be that it's breakfast, that you end up just grabbing something in a hurry or just not bothering and picking something up at a coffee shop at about 11 o'clock in the morning. It could be lunch where you just go and grab a meal deal because it's the quickest and most convenient thing that you do. It could be evening meals when three different people need to be in three different places at three different times in the evening. How do you have an evening meal then? But you pick one of those, not all of them, but one, and work out how you could A, slow it down, B, add in additional nourishment. So could you add in, if it was breakfast, could you, instead of grabbing a bowl of cereal or a quick piece of toast, could you make yourself some overnight oats? Not everyone likes that, but that's a way. And then you add in seeds and nuts overnight and they soak and they're really great fiber, really great protein. And you end up eating something that's more nourishing than a quick bowl of crunchy nuts. Could it be that you have, instead of grabbing kind of a bagel and eating it on the run, that you get some wholemeal toast or some delicious seeded bread and eat that with some peanut or nut butter or something that, or even a little bit of cheese, something that actually is going to fill you up a little bit. And I have taught my children that that it's a bit weird to have any meal that doesn't have a fruit or vegetable in it. So that actually they know that if they're having breakfast, to grab an apple or a plum, there's plums everywhere at the moment, plum or berries or something that's on the side. So that adds a little bit of fiber, it adds flavor, and it adds a different texture as well. So that feels like you're nourishing yourself in a really delicious way. And if it was lunch, you could bring something. I used to always bring, when I worked in an office, I always used to bring in leftovers and then I would add a salad to them or something like that. But even you can switch up some of your choices in a meal deal. Lots of them will have like little pots of vegetables or fruit that you could have instead of the pack of crisps. And they're simple things, but they can really help us with maintaining and conserving our energy through the day if we don't have a big sugar high and then a big sugar drop. And if we do the same thing, if you have a meal deal with sandwiches and crisps and a chocolate bar. It'll give you energy, which is great. We want that. But then at about 2 or 3 o'clock, it's all just going to drop off the rock. So when I work with clients who've been on and off the diet roller coaster, and I think you do some of this as well, don't you, Julie? Like it's that bringing that mindfulness to the whole nourishment experience and working out how to increase variety and add in helpful nutrients without it being complex or feel restrictive or feel like they're having to give anything up that they love. That's my approach.
My goodness. I think that's so powerful. They are simple habits, and yet so many people don't do them. And I think also when people think about changing habits, they think you've got to do something big.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a small thing, but it's the small thing done consistently over time that gives us a big result, that gives us a big shift in something. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important to realize that simplicity, so something that's simple to do,
Mm.
can maintain is always, always going to give us a better result.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about slowing down as well, because we're all kind of, running around like headless chickens
Mm.
a lot of the time. And actually, it's only when we slow down that not only are we able to rest and digest and kind of,
Mm.
experience our body and ourselves in a different way, but also that's where the joy is in the present moment. And slowing down is
Exactly.
vital.
Yeah. And joy is so key. It's so key, isn't it? If you experience those moments of joy, that can be, I always do an exercise on this in December, right? It's like the joy, the run up to Christmas can sometimes feel really hectic, but where can you tap into the joy of the season? I think that can be really valuable. But joy in everyday life, which can be in the winter when it's a bit miserable, and I make some porridge in the morning. Don't have porridge every day, but I make some porridge in the morning. In the winter, I put a little tiny block of dark chocolate at the bottom of my porridge bowl
Mm.
with with some almond butter. And the last few spoonfuls
Oh.
of my porridge have got almond butter and dark chocolate. And the joy in that, oh, it's
I am
amazing.
with you totally. And I think the thing is that some people expect joy to just come to them, but it is about
Mm,
expecting joy and looking for joy. And
mm,
by putting that bit of chocolate and that peanut butter in the bottom of
mm.
the porridge, yeah,
It's so
that's the
good.
thing to do.
Yeah.
And I love the background that you have, Leslie. And I know that you said that
Hmm.
that picture at the weekend, it's a field behind you, and that was an actual rainbow that you took a picture of. And,
Yes.
that's the thing, getting outside into nature,
Hmm.
even if it's just a brief, even if it's just 5 minutes, is really great at changing our state
Yeah.
and having us get present to the
Hmm.
changes in the
In the
season.
season.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so much so. I think that that daily walk can be really helpful. And when I say daily, I never actually mean every day. So because when we tell ourselves something that we have to do something every day, if we feel like we failed if we miss a day, but a daily walk is like, you know, most days I go for a walk and you can notice the change in the season, change in the foliage. You notice the joy. In January, I start looking underneath the leaf litter to spot the beginnings of bluebells because they're there in January. And that's my daily joy. It's like they're grown. I
Yeah.
know it won't be, it was 4 months until the bluebells will come up, but I'm looking. So,
Hey, lovely. I love that. Anything else you'd like to add
so
before?
there was a third one I'm going to
Go
say
on,
very briefly because
go
it
on.
like feeds into what we were talking about before we came on air, before we started recording, which was about exercise and energy and how I've worked with quite a lot of clients and I teach fitness classes and I've worked as a personal trainer and as a health coach. And particularly in around my health coaching work, a lot of people are really struggling with really low energy. They've kind of hit burnout. They know that they want to exercise more, but they're really worried about energy levels. And often there's a story that they're telling themselves, which is that exercise only counts if you've gone to the gym for an hour and a half, that you're really sweaty, or that if you go for a run, you have to run at least 5K, otherwise there's no point, or that you've got to do something that feels hard. And I would say, if you're struggling with energy, moving your body can be really, really helpful, but it doesn't have to be going hard. It could be that you literally go out for a 10-minute walk at lunchtime. And you'll find that you'll get better blood flow to the brain, you'll feel a little bit more focused, your digestion will be slightly better, and it's only 10 minutes. Fine, give yourself a stop. That but it's so, and it's also, if you can move differently. I hurt my hip earlier on this year. I found that I couldn't walk very far. I couldn't, even swimming was quite painful. I had to find ways where I could move my body in ways that weren't so restrictive. I had to do a bit of upper body training. I did a bit more Pilates than usual, which is indoor exercise, which I'm much more an outdoor, let's go find a rainbow person. But it really helped my hip, and so therefore I could find the joy in it. So yeah, that was it. Just find movement that really, that nourishes you. I worked with a client a few years ago who she was building up the confidence to be able to go back to dance classes. Once she could walk into that dance lesson feeling confident in her body and her energy, then that habit was reestablished. But it was finding her way back to that level of energy. But bringing in some element of moving our bodies. It could be 5 minutes of dancing around the kitchen in the morning or before dinner, and you'll feel really silly. And my teenagers will roll their eyes at me, but I do it anyway because it's a really good way of moving every joint in my body and feeling much better about myself and my energy. So exercise can be really helpful for maintaining, conserving, and increasing our energy long term if we do it. But we need to find ways that bring us joy. Go find a rainbow. Ways that are within our limits of where we are now, and ways that feel like they are sustainable and bring us that little bit of fun and play as well. That
Fabulous.
was the last point.
Fabulous. Thank you so, so
You're
much.
so welcome.
So, for those of you that have really resonated with what Lesley says, go check her out. Her links will be down below this video. Mine will be there too. And get in touch with her. She's so absolutely scrummy. So, thank you again, Lesley, and
You're
thank you
so welcome.
for watching.